Hello, welcome to Business Legally. My name is Sharon Nambozo. I'm a lawyer and I have experience working with small businesses, startups, and young entrepreneurs. This week we're discussing companies limited by guarantee. So there is a lot of information out there regarding companies limited by guarantee. By the commonest information that I have from my interactions with clients and people interested with registering one is that they don't pay tax. Is that true? I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, but we're going to find out from this discussion exactly what the legal position is. Now, what is a company limited by guarantee? This is a business structure whereby the entity does not intend to make profit or distribute this profit to members as dividends. They intend to use this profit to further the mission of the organization. This is more suitable for charities, NGOs, sports clubs, professional bodies. These have something in common. These are usually organizations coming together for a particular purpose to improve the wellness of the members and further any other mission that they might have. They don't intend to run a business with the intention of making profit or earn a profit or dividends at the end of the year. Now, what are the key features of a company limited by guarantee? Number one, there is no share capital. It's limited by guarantee, which means that the members who form this organization, this company, come together and agree on a fixed amount they guarantee to contribute towards the company in case it's being dissolved or it's winding up. What does this mean in simple terms? So in a company that is limited by shares, it means that the ownership is divided into small units called shares that the shareholders hold, and this makes the foundation of their liability towards the company's goals. But unlike a company limited by guarantee, there is a fixed amount. So it means that they already predetermine a certain amount. Let me say you agree on 50 million. So it means that the members agree that 50 million is going to be our shared responsibilities towards the liabilities of a company in case it ever runs into trouble. That's one, share capital. Number two is that it's limited liability. So it's a company, so it's a separate legal entity, separate from its members, and it's limited liability. And the amount or the liability of the members is limited to the amount they guarantee during the formation of this company. Another thing is that it's an incorporated entity, so it becomes a legal person. It is separate from its members. It has continuity beyond the natural life of its members. So it enjoys that status of a legal person. It can sue, it can be sued in its name, it can enter into contracts, it can own property. Another thing is the governance structure. The governance of a company limited by guarantee is done by its board or even a board of trustees. Like we said, this is usually suitable for charities, professional bodies, and if you're to borrow examples from the organizations that you've seen around you, the NGOs around you, or even the sports bodies around you, there's usually a board that is charged with the responsibility of running this company. So what are the advantages? Like I said, it's a company. So like we've already discussed previously with private companies limited by liability, it enjoys the same privileges. Number one, limited liability. The liabilities of the company do not extend to the personal assets of its members. Number two, is a separate legal entity with continuity, so it can be transferred to other parties. It can live beyond the life of its members. Another thing is that it's credible. It's credible. It's a separate legal entity. So in the eyes of government, in the eyes of the public, in the eyes of even people who intend to work with this company, maybe investors or people, donors or people who are giving out grants, it has a credibility status and a good reputation because it's formally registered. It can also access capital because it's a formal organization, but this can be in the form of grants or donations at the end of the day. Now let's discuss the disadvantages, because there is a perception in public that it's the perfect opportunity if you can register a company limited by guarantee. Number one, there's the thought that you will not be paying tax, or it's easier to maintain because you do not have to file all these requirements, all these ongoing compliance needs. Unfortunately, that is not true. So now let's discuss the disadvantages. Number one, it has a limited ability to raise capital. Now, if you do not have shares, because shares, the equity of the company, can be a good foundation for the organization to raise capital. You can sell out shares to third parties and use the money to expand the operations of the organization. You can attract equity investors, but because there are no shares in a company limited by guarantee, this is an option that is closed to you. You have limited access to funding options. The only funding options that are usually open to organizations of this kind, so a company of this kind, is donations, grants from people. So it means that funding is usually constrained. That's why if you've had conversation, or if you've worked for an NGO before, you realize that usually when it comes to discussions regarding their finances, there's a particular structure that they follow, and they have a very high accountability and transparent structure for the money they get, usually because this money comes from donors or even grant bodies or even other larger charities to whom they are accountable. And another reason for this is because of the structure, the unique structure of a company limited by guarantee, these are fertile grounds for money laundering. So because of that, the government is strict on transparency of operations, especially regarding source of funds, such that unscrupulous persons do not use this as an opportunity to exploit the organization and launder money using it. Another thing is that there is compliance and administrative requirements. It's a company, it will always have ongoing compliance requirements. They need to file annual returns with the registrar. They need to file their taxes with URA. So when it comes to this end, there will always be costs regarding compliance for the company. Another thing is that there is a perception of limited commercial value of this company. Like I said, they don't have a share capital. They do not intend to distribute profits with among the members. So people may be a bit discouraged, especially if you're trying to start a business to enrich yourself. You start business operations hoping that at the end of the day, you will make a profit to improve your life, because this is not the mission of registering a company limited by guarantee. Now, because of this, if there is limited commercial value attached to the company, this can discourage lending institutions from extending credit to these organizations, because there is a fear that they may not be able to recoup the money given the nature of their operations, where they don't intend to push for earning of profits. Now, this takes me back to my earlier point, the tax implications. The biggest number of clients that I work with, who, when you ask them which company structure they would like, most of them first ask you, can't we register a company limited by guarantee? And the usual perception is that there is a tax privilege attached to these companies. However, this is the legal position. A company limited by guarantee is a corporate legal person. So by default, it has to pay tax. It has to pay tax. Now, it can choose not to pay tax. How can this be done? It can be exempted from paying tax, but this has to be done through an application to URA. So an application will be done by the company after incorporation. You apply to URA, but you need to make sure that in your application and in your submission, you cover these three elements. Number one, there has to be proof genuinely that you're not making profits in this company. Either if you're making profits, these profits are not being distributed among the members as dividends. They are reinvested back in the organization to further the goals of the body. Number two, there has to be, you have to prove that the assets that are owned by this company are not, they don't confer any private benefit to any individual person. So what does this mean? It means that if the company owns some assets, you can't transfer ownership of those properties to a private person as a benefit to them, because now it means that there's going to be an element of enrichment in your company. So this will disqualify you from qualifying to be exempt from paying income tax. Another thing is that there has to be proof that the objective of this company is to do charitable work. It is a professional body, or it's for education purposes, or it is for religious purposes. Now, because these are seen as noble causes that don't necessarily bring profit at the end of the day, but further the goals of society and improve the life of communities. That's why if you're to make some research regarding, for example, the churches that you go to, most churches are registered as companies limited by guarantee, and they are exempt from tax because they do charitable work, they support the community, and they are also religious in nature. Now, it's very important to note that companies limited by guarantee are not exempt from tax by default, but they are exempt from tax on application and satisfying the criteria of no genuine lack of profits being earned, charitable purposes as the goal of the organization, and lastly, that these organizations are not conferring any private benefit to any individual. So if you satisfy this criteria, URA will provide a certificate that shows that you're exempt from paying income tax. So what does this mean in practice for these companies? It means that essentially the income that is earned by these organizations, for example, in the form of donations or grants from other charities or from individuals or any other government bodies or even any other foreign bodies, this is not taxed. So that's something that you should think about. So if you're intending to start a business and you're thinking that, oh, by registering a company limited by guarantee, I will qualify not to pay taxes, so I'll be able to run my business, enjoy the benefits of my business without worrying about paying tax. Sadly, that is not true, because you have to qualify to be exempt from paying tax. So that has been it for me regarding the discussion on a company limited by guarantee. I hope you learned something, especially the misconception around tax exemption, and I hope you now understand fully the implications of registering a company limited by guarantee and the tax implications therein. That has been it for me regarding company limited by guarantee, and this is Sharon Ambozo, Business Legally.